back. All right, folks. Now let me break it down again. A new study shows that students of color in high poverty areas had a lower achievement rate during the 2020-2021 school year. COVID. Khan Academy is focused on offering free resources to parents and teachers to keep students on track. Here, joining us now is Sal Khan, founder of CEO of Khan Academy, out of Silicon Valley, California. All right, glad to have you here. So, COVID obviously screwed everything up. School districts were exposed. They were not ready. You had students who couldn't afford computers, didn't have Wi-Fi, didn't have pads, all this sort of stuff along those lines. And folks were very scared, students of color falling behind. That, of course, was in the spring. Then we went to the summer. We still are being impacted this fall, this fall as well. And so we're still dealing with that. And so there are parents out there who are going, look, I'm trying to want my child to compete, but this thing could literally hurt them on the back end when you're talking about getting to your senior year, trying to apply for college and scholarships and grants along those lines.
Absolutely. We know that even before the pandemic, we had a lot of learning loss going on. People always cite the summer slide, that in summer, not only are kids not learning for 3 months, but they're forgetting the previous 3 months. And things like summer, the history shows us, was a big source of inequity because middle class, upper middle class families put their kids into enriching academic programs, while families that don't have the resources can't do that. And so you see some divergence, and that's just over 3 months. As you just mentioned, this has gone over 18 months, and this is a situation where everything had to be at home. The digital divide just exacerbated things. And we know what the situation was pre-pandemic because of all of this learning loss. 70% of all kids who go to community college, they don't even place into college algebra. And college algebra is really 10th grade math. They have to essentially get remediation at the 6th or 7th grade level. So even though they're taking 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade math, they have to take 6th or 7th grade because they have so many gaps in their knowledge. Even kids who go to four-year institutes out here in California, 65% in the Cal State system. And we know that the numbers are even tougher for kids from historically under-resourced communities where they didn't have as many resources and all the other supports that oftentimes more affluent families might get. And everything just got worse with the pandemic for every reason you just talked about. Now, what we try to do at Khan Academy is we're trying to give the tools that either a family can leverage on their own or that a teacher could use so that they can reach every student where they are. Even before the pandemic, every teacher knows that there's 30 kids in the room, they're all in different places, but the only thing they know how to do, because it's difficult without any support, is teach to the middle. Even though you're leaving behind half the kids, and half the kids might not be fully engaged, we want to give away free tools. Everything I talk about, it's not for profit. There's no catch. It's funded by philanthropy. It's the most studied platform in the world. Hundreds of millions of folks use it. Is to, in a classroom setting, let every kid learn at their own time and pace, fill in those gaps so they have a strong foundation, move ahead, ideally accelerate. Teachers get real data to see where they can intervene. And whether or not it's happening in the classroom, families on their own can leverage Khan Academy. And not only do we have Khan Academy now, which is all free and not-for-profit, there's another effort called Schoolhouse.World, another not-for-profit funded by philanthropy, completely free, where people can get free tutoring over Zoom. So everyone's talking about tutoring. This is free tutoring, where if your child needs help, fill in those gaps or move ahead, they can get it live. And if they want to do it at their own time and pace, they can do that on Khan Academy.
And so, all right, so in terms of, and I'm going to go to my questions for my panel next. So in terms of the parents sitting out there, the parents like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, most parents don't. So first of all, don't feel bad. I think every parent always feels like everyone else has it all figured out. I'll tell you, depending on the age of your student, if you have young kids in the pre-K through roughly 1st or 2nd grade, we have Khan Academy Kids. And I want to stress, this is not an advertisement for some paid product. This is funded by philanthropy. There's 50 efficacy studies. That app, which you can get on Android or on iOS on your Apple device, it covers reading, writing, social emotional learning, and mathematics. It's highly engaging. Ideally, sit down with your child and work through it with them 20 minutes a day. We have a lot of efficacy studies that it can close the gap in as little as 6 weeks, and then they can keep going. And then for math, for third grade and over, if you get your kids on Khan Academy for even 30 minutes a day, we see efficacy study after efficacy study that even 30 minutes a week is growing the kids 30% or more. But if they're able to do it on a daily basis and really make a practice out of it, we have no doubt that they're not only going to fill in the gaps that might have been formed during the pandemic, but then they're going to be one of the strongest kids in their classroom.
Questions first, Teresa.
Yeah, there's something else that you want parents to know that they already don't know.
Things, I think it's that not the school system is doing in many cases the best it can, but it has so many things it's stretched thin. And so I think for parents, and I do think the pandemic did make a lot of parents realize this, because they had to be the teaching assistant, they had to be with their kids at home and try to help them submit the assignments and all of that. Is that you in order for your child not to fall through the cracks, because every school district can't meet the needs of every student personally, that's where using these types of supports like Khan Academy or Schoolhouse.world, and I'll say it again because people are skeptical. They think that something that's free, there must be a catch, that someone's going to charge them or something's going to happen to it, or maybe it's not as good as a thing that I see ads for on TV. But the reality is there's more efficacy studies here. It's more robust, and it's being used already in school systems around the world. So parents should try it out, and it's very usable for students to engage. If you talk to students who are a little bit older, I'm guessing they're already using it. So this could actually be a point of engagement where the parents can talk to your child about it, say, hey, why don't you do 20 minutes a day, keep working on it. Also, if parents are really up for it, to start learn on the platform themselves, it helps you engage with what your students are doing that much better.
Thank you.
Mustafa?
Brother Khan, thank you, first of all. As we get to the end of this decade and you look back, what would you like to have seen the Khan Academy be able to accomplish?
Well, our mission statement is free world-class education for anyone, anywhere. And then I oftentimes add the parenthetical, and we're serious about it. and the way that I imagine doing that is, there's kids who hopefully are going to a reasonably well-resourced school with good teachers. We want to raise the ceiling there, allow for the personalization, allow for the fact that even if kids come in with unfinished learning, they can finish that learning. But we also know that there's a lot of kids, if we think globally, who might not have a school at all. But even here in the United States, kids might go to a school, but we know that a majority of minority schools in the United States do not offer some of the courses that we would consider table stakes, courses like Algebra 2, courses like physics, courses like biology, or even where it is offered, there's often, I would say, a deficit bias, a deficit mentality. There's a lot of research that backs this up, where the system might not think that these kids are as capable. And this is where a tool like Khan Academy can say, no, we're going to give you the same expectations. It's mastery-based. Take as much time as you need, but eventually master the concepts. So we want to do that. We already have a strong offering in math. We're adding science as we speak. We want to go into the humanities. And we also want to start connecting that with actual opportunity, with actual credit. We're actually talking to Howard University right now about a college algebra course that we can bring into Title I high schools, because as we said, 70% of all kids, when they get to community college, they don't even place into college algebra, much less getting credit for it. Imagine if all kids could get credit for college algebra before they're even allowed to drop out of high school, and they've actually mastered the material. And if they don't master it at the end of that course, they keep working on it until the point that they master it. It's not a situation where you get a C and you get called a C student the rest of your life. If you're at an 80%, keep working on it so you can eventually get mastery. And so I'm hoping that is something that it's mainstream in the next 5, 10 years. And I think this tutoring program is going to be really interesting, because we're already seeing a lot of people benefiting from the tutoring. They're finding that this free tutoring on Schoolhouse.world is better than things that they might have even been able to pay for. And the way that we motivate the tutors is we say, and some of these tutors are high school students and college students, is we say, if you can tutor algebra or biology or statistics, we're going to find opportunities for you. We're going to help you get into college. If you're a college admissions officer, wouldn't you want to admit the kid who's a great tutor in algebra or a great tutor in biology? And that should also be a pathway to job opportunity, so it's not gated by where you go to college.
Amisha.
Awesome, and thanks for being here. You are speaking my language as somebody who has worked in education leadership at the K through 12 level as well as at the community college level. You're really speaking facts here. When I think about things like the brain drain, which happened long before COVID-19, COVID-19 is getting a lot of credit for things that have been existing in the public school system for a very long time. How do parents and schools work to eradicate what we've already seen in terms of kids who've been basically left behind, many of which grade levels behind, despite the fact that they're still getting passed on? We know this because we know the scores in math, we know the scores in reading and writing, and there was a statistic that came out just last week that in 2024, 2025, we are going to have up to 86% of young people who are functionally illiterate. So there's something else going on. We talk about math and science a lot, which obviously STEM matters, but what we don't talk about as often is literacy. And we're walking into a population of young people who, quite frankly, cannot read and write. What types of platforms are you working on to address that as well? What is out here for parents?
Absolutely. And, second place to the college math remediation problem is the college writing problem. And that just shows an issue, even for the kids who don't go to college. It shows exactly what you're talking about, how big the deficit is, where kids aren't even being able to do the basic reading and writing at what we would really consider a functional level, which is a middle school level. And, what's happening is once those deficits form, unless you do things in what I would call a mastery framework, they're only going to get worse and worse. If I give you a test and you got a 70% on basic exponents, and it just might be, it took you a little longer to get that, you might have had something going on at home that week, the system right now gives you a C- or a D, and then the whole class will move on to the next concept that's going to build on that deficit. You're going to go into negative exponents or equations that deal with exponents. Somehow, and you could be a genius, but you're not going to be able to engage with this next thing when you have that deficit, that gap that's sitting there. And so the solution in our minds is, instead of just continuing to go through the motions and do this factory model of education that we've had since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, let's use some modern tools, not as a substitute for the system, but as a way to unlock the system, as a way to start reaching every student where they are. So we need to do that in math. To your point, we hope that Khan Academy, if we can get the philanthropic funding, we hope we can start on reading comprehension on the in the next couple of years. We are doing it. We are the official practice with the College Board around the SAT. And to your point about people in 2024 not being able to read or write, there's even more dystopian statistics. I remember reading a long time ago that to build prisons takes about a 10, 15-year lead time, and it correlates with fourth grade test scores. I mean, if there's nothing, that is the most dystopian thing I've ever heard in my entire life. But it tells you how important it is to get young people at a strong foundation, not just so they can engage in math, but so that their self-esteem doesn't fall apart. I started Khan Academy tutoring family members, and it started tutoring with my 12-year-old cousin at the time, back in 2004, and she was giving up on herself. And she was, quote, lucky to have me be able to do an intervention with her and deprogram a lot of what she began to think of herself. But a lot of kids don't have that. So we have to think about how are the supports to fill in those gaps, make sure their self-esteem doesn't crumble, make sure that they're able to connect with other people and have a strong foundation.
All right, then. Again, Sal, where can people go to get more information about Khan Academy?
Great. Just people check out khanacademy.org. I encourage people to check out schoolhouse.world as well. These are related, not-for-profits. And once again, some people sometimes think that we're trying to sell something, but this is free, funded by philanthropy, and it's the most recognized and studied platform in the world. So I just want to make sure people know that it exists for their children.
All right. We sure appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way. Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share
who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
You dig?